magnificent. Good morning, Colonel, sir. Fine bright today. I hear down at the village, prices is picking up, and it's a big year for cotton.
And heroic, a charismatic superstar who leapt on the screen. Men wanted to be like him and women wanted to be with him. But in real life, he was complicated, longing for recognition as both an actor and writer. Devilishly handsome and charming, he was a risk-taker who flouted society's conventions and inevitably landed in trouble. For him, life was a series of adventures. Making movies was one.
Well, this is Colonel Braxton Beauregard Burlique the Fifth, adventurer, treasure hunter, swashbuckler extraordinaire, at your service, madam. Well, tonight's talk is going to be something a little different. You know, ever since I was, well, I would imagine a mere baby boy, I was always intrigued by the Spanish conquistador type fellas. You know, Cortez, Cordoba, and I'm not talking the Chrysler, son. I'm talking the explorers. De Soto, another quality Chrysler product from yesteryear. But anyway, I'm discussing, you know, the Spanish conquistadors. You know, they were adventurers, they were treasure hunters, and well, yes, we could say that some of them were swashbuckler extraordinaires. But I've always had a fascination with these Spanish conquistadors, and I remember back in the 1950s, I'd actually gone down, and you know, I've been to Central and South America, and you know, in there, and even, you know, Mexico and all that, and over the years, I acquired different antiquities and things, you know, over the years, and I'd always been fascinated with the Spanish conquistadors, and you know, all the you know, fortune hunting and things that they did, and well, over the years, you know, like I said, I had accumulated some things. This piece I had picked up. Now, I'll be quite honest with you. It has a hell of a great patina on it, as you see. But I'll be honest with you. I don't believe it's real. And I'll tell you why. As you know, they make a lot of reproductions. This one, I believe, is a reproduction. You're saying, well, Colonel, look at the patina on that. That really looks authentic, and it looks like it's really something. And to that I'd say yes. I mean, you look at this is a nice looking piece. And I want to explain something. This is what they call the Spanish, I'm probably mispronouncing this, Morion helmet, Morion. And the Spaniards developed that helmet, although there were other nations that used it. The original ones, you know, they all had this curve up design, as you see here. The earlier ones, instead of this comb that you have on top of this here helmet, they kind of had it was kind of put into the helmet. You didn't have the comb, but it had like a peak to it. I don't have one handy here right now, but I will tell you this. The later ones, like those earlier ones, were like late 1400s. This style was late 1500s. These would have been the sort that the Cortez and those fellas were wearing. This one, well, I don't know. I've had different stories on this one. I acquired this a number of years ago. But it does like some of them have. It has a pattern. It's very hard to see, but there is like a engraved pattern on the comb, and I don't know if you can see it too well. A design. I'm not going to clean it up, but it is. You can see there is a pattern on there. Then there'd be a liner inside the helmet. Obviously, this one, the liner's long gone. But the reason I think the helmet is a reproduction, maybe possibly an older theatrical piece, maybe. I don't think it's any sort of trick-or-treater piece. The reason I think it's not a period piece is, and I could be wrong, but it just seems that these helmets were handmade back in the day, and this one, I don't know. They had the railroad rims like this, but I think the thing that got my attention was the rivets. The rivets are usually hand-made, hand-forged. The rivets on this one are too, I think, uniform on it. And here's another thing. This bracket here, they use this to put a little plume up. Well, no, I shouldn't say a little. A plume at the top, to add a flourish, ornamentation to the helmet. This just looks too like machine made. It just doesn't have the handmade look I think it should have. But as you know, the old colonel likes a bargain. I got a really great deal on this helmet, and even if it is a fake, which I think it probably is, it's a hell of a display piece. I have that, in the one part of the manor house. I have a couple of these like Spanish Conquistador. I won't call them statues. They're more of these metal like wall hanging things, and I have a painting of a Conquistador. I probably should have brought it out, but I just decided I'd shoot this thing. Maybe I'll do one on the painting, on another piece on this. But I just thought I'd kind of talk a bit about this. This isn't any sort of World War II piece, but I've always found these rather intriguing. And, to this day, those Swiss guards at the Vatican, they actually use a helmet, a Mosin helmet, similar design with the peak. There were a lot of other European nations that used the design too. German city-states used them. I think these were in use in France. But these fell out of favor by the early 1700s, well, maybe even a little earlier. In the 1600s, they fell out of favor. But I always thought this was a very nice design. I remember as a boy reading about Cortez and everything else, and like you've seen in the Indiana Jones movie, like, well, that should be in a museum. I always had the opposite view. I always thought, that's an intriguing piece. I would like to have that in my collection. And, some people disagree, but yes, I've always prided myself on adding some of the different, pieces that I've liked over the years to the Burlique's collection. And even if this isn't real, well, this is one of them. And I hope you got something out of this here video. But these Spanish Conquistador relics, they've always intrigued me. And I remember watching Earl Flynn. I actually met Earl Flynn in the early 50s, and I always admired him in the Don Juan film. And I have to say, he was a role model for me, except for the drinking I think he overdid that. There's no question about that. And, well, you know, the women, in a way, he was sort of like the character he portrayed, a combination of Don Juan, Cortez, and in the end, I guess, George Custer. But anyway, I just thought I'd, you know, do a little piece on the Spanish Conquistador Morion helmets. So I'm going to sign off now, y'all. Well, this is Colonel Braxton Beauregard Burlique the Fifth, adventurer, treasure hunter, swashbuckler extraordinaire. Signing off, y'all. Goodbye.
Till the heavenly powers